I was thinking about something else that's a pretty good indication that, like, I'm the wrong age. Everyone always thinks my dad's my grandpa and my mom's my grandma. So, like, every time that I talk to anyone, they will never call him your dad. Like, they'll always be like, does your grandpa need something? Like, can you give this to your grandpa? And I'm always like, no, he's not my grandpa. Like, I used to take him out to restaurants a lot. Like, in San Antonio, we ate out all the time, my mom, my dad, and I. It's always your grandpa, your grandpa, your grandpa. Because I look like a little kid. And I was a little kid. And people ID me because they'll never believe that I was always like, I'm over 35 when I was like 34. And I was like, how in the world do you need to ID me? And they're like, well, I still have to ID you. 19-year-old. I don't know what that was. I mentioned I have so many ex-girlfriends that are little people on the internet. You would never believe how many of them turned out to be little people. That girl, I don't even know her. She's just with a Christmas tree. Is evidence of censorship. All these people are posting Christmas trees to show that there's censorship to whoever, but especially my probation officer. When I was in Egypt, I've told this story a million times. I'm walking down the street in Egypt. This random guy goes, "You like Cars? Very good movie." It has like Arabic subtitles, or it had Arabic subtitles, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I do love Cars." So I bought Cars. I can tell you every second of Finding Nemo, and I was supposedly born in 1985. Nemo goes off the reef. I don't want to tell it. Nemo goes off the reef. He goes really fast. He gets trapped in a fishing boat. Marlin goes after him. He can't figure out how to get into the net, and he ends up getting lost. And he finds Dory, I think, and then they end up having to deal with sharks. And then they have to deal with that light fish with the mouth. And then they ended up going to P. Sherman Wallaby Way because actually, Marlin wasn't with Dory always, but he finds Dory. And Dory knows P. Sherman Wallaby Way, but then she can't remember it because Dory can't remember anything. She has amnesia. And then they go to the dentist's office. But Nemo's in the dentist's office, and then there's the dentist's daughter or his niece, and all the drains go to the ocean, and so Nemo's got to figure out how to escape. So he's got to go find this fish that's got a scar. And he's got to get the fish to help him, but he has to get initiated into the fish gang or whatever. So he ends up and then like bouncing around, and then somehow he ends up going down the drain, and the pelican like tries to get him as he goes through, and then he finds Dory, and then I think he finds Dory, or maybe Marlin. No, he finds Dory, and Dory is like, "You're Mimo," and she can't remember his name. Oh, and then they end up going to Pismo Beach or something like that. And maybe that's where they find Marlin. I don't know where he finds Marlin. But that's where they end up is Pismo Beach. And they end up at the Morro Bay Aquarium, I think. I'm still talking about proving my age. And I was kind of telling the full story of Finding Nemo as fast as possible. And I ran out of time. I missed that like Nemo had to stop the filter in the Sydney's dentist office. And then they had to ride the current back to California. Because they met the turtles, and that's when they met Sammy the turtle, and they rode the current because they surfed the current, dude. And then they ended up at the Morro Bay Aquarium, and then they ended up back on the anemone. Like Nemo says it all cute. They rub on the anemone in the beginning, and then Marlin's overbearing in the beginning, and then Nemo goes away from the reef because he's with the school in the beginning. He's with the stingray, I think, and then like he gets lost, and that's how he gets caught by the fishing boat. But like Nemo also like was in the school at the end because Marlin is like going around teaching him and telling him stories about. I'm still telling the story of Finding Nemo. The point is, like, I watched that cartoon so many freaking times because I know it's for adults, and I watched SpongeBob so many freaking times because I knew it was for adults, and it turned out it's not for adults. I bought a Turtle's Tail, and like I've said, I found so many of my ex-girlfriends or even friends that turned out to be little people, and they're twins on the internet, like that many of them. And so I have proved that my age was changed by sex traffickers. Like what they did is they had us around little people a lot, and then like we don't know our age, and we don't know who's smart, and like we are always in love with little people because they're the smartest girls. And my age has changed. Like everyone always called my dad my grandpa and my mom my grandma. Like you don't know. Like since college they were calling my mom my grandma. Like always. My age was changed by sex traffickers that much, and I don't know what I'm gonna do right now. Like I'm worried about like my own survival because like I'm completely dependent on like the sex traffickers for like fulfilling my probation requirements. Like I already emailed my probation officer because my brother hasn't responded to me for 3 days. My mom hasn't responded to me for like 2 days. She never doesn't respond to me. So I need to figure out like what's going on there. Like plus there's the censorship. I mean, they have censored me so freaking much. Like it's like crazy how much these people have censored me. And like I'm not allowed to have money, like but no one will explain why. But then the feds are like, we don't care. Like we're interviewing you about illegal speech to your 0 followers. Because like I always have 0 followers. I've never not had 0 followers for 10 years. Like when I talk about like SoundCloud, that's like 12 years ago that I was getting -1 listens. Like it's like over 10 years ago that like random people knew that I was famous. If you are spying on my phone right now, you know that I looked up the Monument Skate Park and I went to something and it showed me a bunch of plans for a skate park. And I didn't see what year it was built, or I didn't look up where it is. And where I would say it is I remember it was cold when I was at the skate park and it was pretty close to downtown Monument. Like there's like I don't know, it was just too big. Like it was too big. Like I was afraid to drop in. And so like where is that skate park that I've been to before when I had a skateboard? When have I had a skateboard in Colorado? Then. Like when have I had a skateboard in Texas? Never. When I got a skateboard in Chicago because I found one at an airport. But like the only time I had a skateboard was in Monument prior to the year 2000. And I don't know what happened to my skateboard after that. I got a girlfriend and she didn't like my skateboarding shoes. She thought that I shouldn't wear skateboarding shoes. She thought I should wear running shoes. So her and I went and got some like running shoes and I got some New Balances. Before that I had skate shoes always. And so like I remember like when I met this guy with the Tensor trucks, it was before 2000. You see how this says early 2000s or whatever? Like it was before 2000 that I talked to that guy, and he said something about how like Tensor. He told me about Tensor trucks, like Tensor didn't come out until 2000, and his had the plastic on the outside. So I'm saying it's the wrong year. Like I already knew it was the wrong year because I proved it so many times, and that's why like when I take guesses and I just know it's right. Like here's more proof. Like Monument Skate Park, not built in the 90s. I guess I have more evidence I could go through. For my 21st birthday, I had a little girlfriend, and she was pretty much living at my house. She was a year younger than me, supposedly. And I was living on Martin Luther King Jr. off Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, where someone got shot in my front yard. Like, and the cops ended up coming, and like we hung out with the cop, and this guy was just like bleeding all over the place. It was a lot of blood because he got shot like 4 times or something. And that's how I met my neighbor. I had a girlfriend and it was my 21st birthday and I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. So we went to go see the movie Happy Feet. I was really disappointed because I didn't realize it was like for little kids. I thought it was going to be for adults, like Finding Nemo and like Turtle's Tail and like Cars. But it turned out it was for little kids. Which is what I usually thought about things that were bad. Like if the film's really bad, it's for little kids. If the film's good, it's for adults. What other evidence can I bring forward about my age being changed? My age was clearly changed. Like that Monument Skate Park is like pretty devastating because it was built in the 2000s. Like if it's built in the 2000s, which you guys can figure out when it was built. I mean, clearly like. I know I had a skateboard in Manitou, but I was afraid to skateboard because I had snapped my Achilles tendon in Chicago, and I never even went to the skate park in Manitou. Like I never skated really, and but like so I have skated in Colorado barely, and then someone stole it from me like right away. Like the moment I started skating, like someone stole it from me, which like I'm glad they did because I was a stupid kid that could have snapped his Achilles tendon. Yeah, I think that's the end of evidence. I mean, my parents are always my grandparents. Everyone thinks my parents are my grandparents. Like everywhere I go, they're always like, your grandma, your grandpa. Like, does your grandma need this? And it's like, she's not my grandma. All right, that's it. Twins.
I proved it, bitches. I proved my age is wrong. I've been 1,000,000 miles all by myself. Little kid walking all around hell. Don't give a fuck what gotta say. I'm gonna chill. Another day I can't hear shit disappear into another flow. And everybody kinda knows that when I flow, everybody hears a different kind of rhythm. Bitches coming, I don't really wanna give them. I don't like using bitch, man. What the fuck am I gonna say? I wish I could live just one more day. Fade away. I don't really wanna try today. Yeah, like, can you believe how many times I proved my age is wrong and I still, like, don't have money for food right now? Like, isn't there something about, like, child abuse? I saw some guy got caught for, like, going to high school as, like, a 27-year-old. Like, he went back to high school and, like, they were accusing him of hooking up with all these, like, 13-year-old girls and shit. I was like, oh, well, like, how old are they actually? Are the girls, like, actually 13 or are they, like, 8? Like, I'm confused. Like, is that, like, what's the actual story? Like, I'd really like to know because, like, it seems like there's some investigations going on. Like, I'm worried about, like, food and gas right now. Like, I mean, like, at some point, maybe my court case should be over so I can peace out, leave Colorado, like, not come back. Like, you guys have been pricks to me. Like, aren't you guys, like, trying to be cool to me? Like, I mean, I'm a victim here. Like, because you guys know kids. Like, how many of you guys know kids? Like, I know it's not all you guys. Like, I mean, I'm confused here. Like, I feel like I'm ready to peace out. My probation officer asked me to show her some evidence that I'm famous, and I wanted to go through this again. So, when I was a little kid playing junior golf, I played tricks and extra spin golf balls every time. Like, the only golf ball I would hit in golf tournaments was tricks and extra spin. I was in junior golf. That means I was under 12. That means it was prior to 1997. So I looked up extra spin golf balls, and Trixon, the company, didn't exist at all until 2001. Wilson Fat Staffs, like the drivers and stuff, didn't exist until like 2000 and stuff. I remember going and trying out the driver, and I tried out the biggest Big Bertha and stuff like that. Tensor trucks did not exist until 2000. And like my second skateboard had tensor trucks, and it was an ATM blank deck that I think they still sell to this day. And someone told me about the tensor trucks at the skate park in Monument before I bought the tensor trucks, and they showed me the ones with the plastic on the outside that help you with nose slides and stuff like that. So my girlfriend, her favorite song was Linkin Park in the End in the 90s. And that was like in 8th grade or whatever. She was a 7th grader. And that song didn't exist until like late 2000 at least. Shaggy Angel was my favorite song as a very, very, very small child. I used to walk back and forth. Like it was the first song I ever got tired of. I thought that Shaggy's song Angel was for little kids when I moved to Colorado, so I didn't listen to it anymore. Turns out that song came out in 2002. So there's no way it was for little kids. I used to watch cartoons every day. But what I really wanted to go to is, like, my brother's not even my brother. Like, he got switched out. He, like, is in charge of my family's money. My last I saw, like, my parents were bringing in, like, $375,000 a year. So, like, he won't, like, he's not answering my calls. Like, it's been 3 days, he hasn't answered my calls. He didn't know what the PT500 was. Like, our entire childhood, like, revolved around the PT500. We manufactured them in the garage. He's not my brother. My mom used to play piano every day, and the bird used to sing what she played, which was Beauty and the Beast, Tale as Old as Time. Now my mom can't play piano. My dad, I know it's like terrible when I say like all three of them got switched out. My dad hates meatloaf passionately. He hates it more than anything in the world. Or that's what he said, like, because we were talking about meatloaf at Colorado Mountain Brewery. He's like, there's nothing more disgusting than meatloaf. That's the most disgusting thing in the world. But we used to eat meatloaf every single day when I was growing up as a child. So, like, my dad, my brother, and my mom, all three, and then my sister in Egypt, I met my actual sister, and she told me she was my sister in Spanish, and she ended up getting murdered in Lebanon. And, and so there's this random girl in Egypt that tells me that she's my sister. She's trying to explain to me, you're my brother. So, like, I don't think my sister's even my sister. So like all 4 of my family members got switched out with other people. But just go try like. So I also had a driver that I've described the shaft very specifically from Golfsmith. That's a bubble shaft. And like, that was when I was like a little kid. That was like a shortened club. And like all my clubs were very short back then. And I looked it up, and TaylorMade didn't make bubble shafts at all until 1995. So like when I was 10, TaylorMade came out with bubble shafts. But Golfsmith wouldn't have come out with it like until later, because they have to like design it and plan it, and they have to make the club. And so like that's like my only small golf club. Like I bought the movie Turtle's Tail. And I supposedly was born in 1985. Dude, my brother does not know what the PT500 is. I walked up to him. He was in my living room in San Antonio, and I said, "Hey, you know the PT500, right?" He's like, "What?" And I was like, "The PT500." He's like, "I don't know what that is. I don't know." And I was like, "Oh, you're not him. You're not my brother. You got switched out with someone else, because that's exactly how you test that guy." And so he's not my brother. Like, that guy is like the most mean person I've ever met. And now he's not answering my phone calls. And like I have to have gas to go to probation. I have to have gas to go get a public defender. Like, and so like I have to make sure I can get gas right now. Like, I know he's not going to give me food, but like he's supposed to pay some bills. Like I said, like my dad hates meatloaf. Like my dad that just died. Like, he's like, "I would never eat meatloaf. That's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard of in my life. I can't believe you eat meatloaf." To me, because I ordered meatloaf at Colorado Mountain Brewery. But like when I was a kid, like all we ever ate was meatloaf. Like, "What are we eating today, Mom?" "Meatloaf." Or like ham, or I would be disappointed if she wants microwave chicken. She'd make microwave style chicken. Disgusting. And she'd make spaghetti. And yeah. And she'd make pot roast. And she'd make chicken fried steak. So this girl is famous because she's Epstein's sex trafficking victim, and she's got this cockatiel. And I had that bird, and like I said, my mom used to play piano, and the bird would sing the song. Like, bird would sing "Pretty Bird," and then it would also sing "Tale as Old as Time" by Beauty and the Beast. So here you can see that I had -1 listens on SoundCloud, and that was a very, very long time ago, back when I was VNOC 7. So I was being censored when I was VNOC 7. Like, I found out I was famous when I was VNOC 7 by traveling around the United States, like meeting random people, and it turns out that they listen to my music because I had already gotten a little famous. Now, like, all these girls are doing Christmas pictures, and it's because I am more famous. Like, I am very, very famous right now. And everyone's acting like they don't know I'm famous, and I think that scares people because, you're making people homeless by faking like you don't know who they are. But then the last topic I want to talk about is this twin-size bed. So when I was a sophomore in college, I thought I was full grown, and I thought my girlfriend was full grown. And I used to stay at her house, like, always, for like almost the entire year. And like when I'd stay at her place, she had a twin-size bed, and we slept on the twin-size bed together. She was on birth control, but we still used condoms. And like, we had sex on the twin-size bed. Like, we had oral sex on the twin-size bed. Like, we did it all over the twin-size bed. Somehow we fit on the twin-size bed. And like, I'm 6 foot tall, 230 pounds. Like, if you were to say, "Well, no, you were only like 19 back then, you're probably only 205. It's still pretty hard to fit on the bed. Like, and so like that girl started looking that different after I got older. And like, I was convinced that I had some sort of like dysmorphism about her. Like, I was like hallucinating when I looked at her, like, because I know she's so freaking pretty. I thought there was something wrong with me, and I think it's because they're switching out twins, because they will switch out twins. Like, clearly, like, there are twins out there, and they're cloning people. That's the pitching machine I had in the 90s. Like all my entire life, we had that pitching machine. Like, I've looked at the dial. It's the exact same one. It has that little thing so you can roll it. I don't know what year it is to this date. Like, I don't know the year on my Channel 1 skateboard. Like, I don't know the year on a lot of things. But I do know the year on Friction Extra Spin and the Tensor trucks. And I do know that my bubble shaft, there's no freaking way. And so, like, I know that my dad hates meatloaf. Like, you don't understand. Like, he started ranting about meatloaf. And I was like, "You hate meatloaf? All we do is eat meatloaf. Like, how do you hate meatloaf? Like, this is the craziest thing I've ever experienced." Like my brother, like I had to catch him. Like I knew he wasn't my brother. Like it was obvious. And that guy's a shark. Like that dude is like, he stole my family's money. Like last I checked, my family was bringing in like almost 400 grand a year. And that guy took over all the money. He won't give me a dime. Like, I mean, come on here.